The Captain's Log Radio, with your host, Captain Jonathan Moss.
Hey, welcome to the Captain's Log Radio. Captain Jonathan Moss. Today I've got a special guest, a good friend of mine, a guy I've heard a lot about and got to meet this year at ICAST, a guy who I don't want to make mad because if he punches me in the face, well, I'm going to punch him back, but I don't know if I'll be swinging quite as hard. The man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Adam, the prototype Milstead. What's up, dude? So good to see you, brother.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me. Like I said before, dude, it's an honor to be a part of your show, man. I watch you, I follow you on social media. Yeah, man, it's just an honor to be here.
Well, cool stuff, man. No, listen, I'm stoked. All right, I'm stoked to break the news. Let's just do it from the beginning, bro. We've got some exciting news here at the Outdoor Radio Network, and we're creating a new hour block called the Kayak Power Hour block. And we're going to have two brand new shows, both focused on kayak fishing. And Adam is going to be leading one of those up, and he focuses mostly on freshwater kayak fishing. And then we got Chris Little is going to be coming in on the saltwater side. So we've got some brand new, exciting content, educational content, stuff that you're going to learn about bass fishing. You're learn about smallmouth. He might even tell you how to catch a trout on a chatterbait. I don't know. We might get into that later. And then Chris is doing a lot of inshore fishing there in South Carolina out of a kayak, getting really skinny. So I'm so thrilled to bring you on and have you part of the team. I'm not bringing you on. The network's bringing you on. I'm just stoked to have you a part of the Outdoor Radio Network team, bro. It was so good meeting you at ICAST and getting to have the opportunity to get to know you a little bit better. So welcome to the show, bro.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. Boy, we have fun down at ICAST. That was a lot, man. That was a lot in a short amount of time.
It is.
Yeah. But yeah,
was that your first one?
No, that was my second one. So I skipped last year. I had some, I don't know. I think my wife signed me up for a wedding about during that time. So that's normally how it works. But yeah, man, it was a blast. I went to the 2023. This year was just as good. And of course, meeting all you guys and everybody from the Outdoor Radio Network. I mean, I was blown away. And so what you were saying, like getting this radio show going, it's definitely a huge opportunity that I'm excited to bring to the people. Basically anything and everything that involves kayak fishing, and especially the freshwater side. A lot of people don't realize it's like, of course, you have the whole kayak fishing, just recreationally going out and fishing for, smallmouth, largemouth, maybe pike, muskie, whatever. But then there's a whole nother side of it, which is where I think the majority of people are really getting into is the competition side. It's an awesome opportunity for people like me who don't want to invest, $70,000, $80,000 in a bass boat to go fish club tournaments. We now have an ability to invest maybe in $1,000 kayak and go out there and still, have a blast, really get our competition sort of nerve taken care of. We're able to have a goal. And so, yeah, I'm super excited to be a part of the Outdoor Radio Network team. I'm super excited to talk to people and obviously get to know you guys. So yeah,
you are going to be a wealth of information and knowledge, and education to a lot of people.
I hope
Kayak
so.
fishing has come a long way, dude. It has changed so much. I got my first kayak, I want to say it was 20 years ago. I still have it. In fact, I have two identical. They're ocean kayaks, Scrambler XTs. The big banana, it's an 11-foot kayak. It's a yellow bright. You're never going to hide anywhere with this thing. And I would tell you, I was in college. I didn't have a lot of money. I was painting a house. That's how I paid for school. I landscaped and I
Wow.
painted houses. And it seemed like every time I had a big bill coming up for school, because I didn't have any scholarship, I paid my way through. Every time I had like a new semester, my phone would start ringing. Hey, you still painting houses? I need a house painted. And I'm like, praise Jesus. I got a house to
Yeah,
paint.
right.
So I would go and paint these houses. Then I'd go and obviously I had a job. I worked at a gym as well, and I worked with kids and after school programs. So I mean, I was all over the place,
Yeah, that's
and
awesome.
I was really wanting to get a kayak. I wanted to get out on the water on my own, and I didn't have any money to buy a boat.
Hmm.
And it was on my like I'm gonna graduate college and I'm gonna buy what I really wanted was a Camaro. And then I was like, dude, I can't go fishing in a Camaro. I'm like, let me get a blacked out Camaro
Oh,
SS.
yeah.
No, 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 no. But that was years later before I graduated. So I'm a poor college kid wanting to go fishing, and I got this job. I had enough money to pay my tuition for that semester, and then I had money left
Nice.
over, and it was just enough to get that ocean kayak, and I got it from Bass Pro Shops, and they had
Ah,
sent a
nice.
sale. Like I got I don't know if it was Memorial. I don't know what I got. It was kind of some sale. Maybe it was Labor Day. Um, but it was some sale going on. I got something in the mail, like an ad, and I was like, "That's my sign." Jesus told
Yeah.
me it's okay. Go get it.
Yep.
And I still have that stupid thing. I haven't used it, in years.
Yeah, well, I mean, you got a boat, so
I
I
got
mean,
a boat. I don't need it now, man. I keep
yeah,
telling
that's
my wife, we're gonna. And the reason I ended up with two
mhm.
is I have a good buddy of mine, one of my best friends. He moved to Tennessee up in the
Mm.
mountains. And I also had a John boat, which I was looking for a John boat. And my dad, I was out of town doing something, I don't know. And my dad calls me. He's like, Jonathan, how bad do you want a John boat? I'm like, bad, Pops. I'm saving up
Mhm.
some money to buy a John boat. He's like, I'm at a garage sale right now. I was like, oh. So he's like, I'm at this garage sale, dude, and well, he didn't call me dude. He called me son, but I always say dude. But anyways, he's like, I'm at this garage sale, and they want $20 for this John boat. Do you want it? I'm like, yeah, I want it.
Absolutely.
Like,
Yeah,
I
right.
don't know. I don't know where I was. I might have been. I don't know. I used to do a lot with our church, our student ministry, so I was probably somewhere with them out of town. I
Hmm.
don't know. I don't clue. But I was like, get it. I don't care what's wrong with it. I was like, but by the way, what's wrong with it? He's like, it's got a hole in it and it
Of
leaks
course.
and it
Yeah.
needs a new transom. And I was like, bro, we can fix that. Like, you think we can fix
Mhm.
that? He's like, of course we can fix it. I'm like, $20, dude. I got you.
Yeah.
So we got that, and I had that John boat, and we caught a mess of fish out of it. We would go to ponds, neighborhood ponds with it. Had a little trolling motor from Bass Pro in the back with a little
That's
battery.
all you need. Yeah.
We'd take the battery out of the truck, and then hopefully had enough battery power to start the truck at the end of the fishing trip. But anyways,
You
so
know.
Nick was moving to Tennessee, and he's like, "Look, dude, I can't use this kayak in Tennessee. You've got this John boat. What do you think about switching, trading?" And I was like, "You know what, man? Done. Let's do it." Because I didn't know anybody else that kayak fish, so I figured, well, if I meet a friend or when someone wants to go fishing with me, I've got an extra kayak, so we can
Yeah,
do
there
that.
you go.
So that worked out. But kayaks have come a long way. What I
Hmm.
didn't like about that kayak, and I still have it,
Hmm.
and this is something that has improved over the years. The seat was terrible.
Oh, yeah.
It was a
Yep.
sit on top. It had a little back strap, and your
Yep.
legs would extend. And after about 45 minutes to an hour,
Legs fall asleep.
my legs would fall asleep.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
No, honestly, you want to tell a good kayak from a bad kayak, look at the seat. I always tell everybody, or the very first thing you've got to look at is how comfortable, what the seat is like, how comfortable is it, what the cushion is like. Because if you get a kayak out there, just like you said, it's just got a flimsy back seat, yeah, for the first like 30 plus minutes, you're going to be enjoying it, but then now you're not going to be
Exactly.
so much worried about catching fish. You're going to be like, how do I get my foot to wake up?
Yep,
And so
exactly.
no, I get
And
it.
that's, when you're fishing the flats, like what I was doing with it, you're fishing
Hmm.
in a foot or two of water, you
Yeah,
can get out.
yeah,
But if you're fishing in a lake, you're not just getting out. You're having to paddle up
no,
on shore. You're having to
Yep.
interrupt your fishing, and I don't want to deal with that. But I caught a lot of fish in that boat.
That's
We
cool.
we had fun with that boat.
Hmm.
Nick and I, his parents were moving to Tennessee first, and they made a deal with us. They pay us some money if we would help them move, and then they would take us to Wisconsin on like a little thank you trip, whatever, because he
Yeah.
had family up there. So we didn't trailer. We put those kayaks on top of his old Forerunner.
Oh
And
yeah,
we
there you
drove
go.
all the way to Tennessee, helped his parents move in, and then drove all the way to Wisconsin. And we were at the Dells in Wisconsin, and we were on a roller coaster, some like random little bitty roller coaster thing, and the Dells, just like I don't know, it's like a theme park, not a theme park, but it's like a strip of area,
Right.
and there's like a whole bunch of little go-karts and putt-putts and roller coasters. Anyways, so we're on this roller coaster, and we're clicking up the tracks, and the guy behind us was like, "What are the big yellow boats on that truck over there?" Like, he had no idea. I
That's
looked at my
awesome.
buddy and I started laughing. I was like, "We don't talk, man. Don't even. I don't even want to get in this conversation with this dude.
I,
Let's just."
I always said you're not a kayak fisherman until you have a kayak literally fly off at 70 miles per hour off the top of your car. I've had
Oh,
that happen.
oh
Yeah, I've
no.
been so poor. Like, I had two kayaks, so like hand-me-down kayaks, and I had these like cool uh they're like Yakima style rack, but I only had enough money for one. And then the other one, I kind of had to make my own rack out of PVC, and that didn't work quite as well. And so, yeah, we're on the turnpike here in Pennsylvania, 70 miles per hour down the road. And all of a sudden we just hear a crash, and I look in the rearview mirror, and here comes my kayak literally just going like that. And then cars are
Oh,
swerving out of the way and stuff. So yeah, that's fun. But that's,
oh my
just like you,
goodness.
it's just cutting your teeth in that whole realm.
The things that we do, brother. The things
Hmm.
that we do to
Whatever we got to
continue.
do to get off the bank, man.
Exactly. Hey, listen, we've got so much to talk about. I've
Mhm.
got Adam, the prototype Milstead here. We're going to talk fishing, we're going to talk kayak, and we're going to talk a little bit more. This is just a glimpse of what he's going to bring to the table once we have his show launched here on the Outdoor Radio Network. Coming soon, so stay tuned to that. But don't go anywhere. We've got so much to talk about, so much to learn. I'm so excited to have Adam here, and I'm excited to have you guys here listening along on the Outdoor Radio Network. I'm Captain Jonathan Moss. This is the Captain's Log Radio. We will be right back.
This is the Captain's Log Radio with your host, Captain Jonathan Moss. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Captain's Log Radio with your host, Captain Jonathan Moss.
Hey, welcome back to the Captain's Log Radio. I'm Captain Jonathan Moss. I'm so thankful to have you guys here on the Outdoor Radio Network listening to the show. Of course, I want to connect with you outside of the show. We talk about this every single episode. I want to connect with you on social media at the Captain's Log TV. That's my handle on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. If you're following me, I will follow back. If you're tagging the Captain's Log TV, I'll be able to see your posts. I want to see where you're catching. I want to see where you're going. Hey, I'm not into fishing. I'm really into hunting. Awesome. Tag me. I want to see what you're doing. Hey, I really like just going birding or hiking, whatever, kayaking. I don't care. I want to see your adventures. And I can only do that if you're following along with mine so I can follow you back. So at the Captain's Log TV on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. We're also in the middle of season 7 of the Captain's Log TV, which you can watch on Discovery Channel nationwide, on the Waypoint TV channel and the Waypoint TV app, which is completely free. If you don't have it on your TV, you can go and download it at the App Store. It's awesome, full of great fishing and hunting content there. Again, completely free. Or you can subscribe to my YouTube channel at the Captain's Log TV. So make sure you're watching that. We got a brand new episode coming out this weekend. We're halfway through the season. I can't believe it's flying by. But make sure you're following along and you're subscribed. And make sure you're checking out Adam. Adam, what's your social media, buddy? How can we get connected with you?
Yeah, man, I appreciate it. Guys can connect with me at Adam Milstead. Pretty much all across all platforms. And then I also have a strictly just kayak fishing page called Straight Yak. That's STR number 8YAKD. So they can follow me there, that's where I sort of like showcase a lot of the shows that I do on YouTube and stuff like that. But of course, you can see my personal life and everything at Adam Milstead.
Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Adam, let's get your career going, man. How did you get into fishing in the outdoors? For those who are not watching this, the video version of this show, Adam in his background has a mallard back there. He's got a feathers from a turkey. Plus, you do the kayak fishing. How did you get into the outdoors?
Yeah, man, it's always been a passion of mine. Me and my father, so we grew up together, and we're sort of like I grew up in a separated home from my brother, my sister stayed with their mom or my mom, and then I stayed with my dad, and so we kind of grew up, sad to say, but really, really poor, and so we didn't really have a ton like being able to stay inside. I didn't have like video games and stuff like that, and so I basically, in order to pass the time, man, I, did sports and then obviously went outside. And my dad was a huge fisherman. He grew up actually, as weird as it sounds, he's literally about 30 minutes from where I live now in Point Marion, Pennsylvania. But I was born and raised in Calvert County, Maryland, which is right on the shores of the Chesapeake Bay. And so
Hmm.
that's where I kind of cut my teeth into fishing. My first fish that I can remember to this day was a 35-inch red drum that I caught off of Chesapeake Beach. And
Nice.
yeah, it was great. And then from there, it was just like one of those things that I just absolutely love to do. It was like every opportunity we had, I was like, Dad, can we go fishing? Can we do this? Can we go for redfish? Can we go for bluefish? Can we fish for flounder, sea trout, whatever? And so we really just kind of hit it off going out to Chesapeake Bay, and
Hmm.
that's again where I started really learning about fishing. Was cutting my teeth in the whole game, and then eventually, as I got older, I started looking at what my dad used to do back in Pennsylvania. So my dad's been all over the place. He went from Pennsylvania, where he grew up, where he was trout fishing, and that was mainly what he was doing in this area. Then eventually he moved down to North Carolina, where in North Carolina he was out there going for what we call puppy drum or red drum. And of course, doing a lot of shark fishing and things out there. Spanish mackerel was big down there. And then eventually he moved to the Chesapeake Bay area, where it was striper or what we call rockfish,
Hmm.
flounder, sea trout. We had gray sea trout or weakfish, and then croaker and then whatever else. Um, but it was at that moment, like after I kind of like did my saltwater thing, I was like, man, I want to try this like fly fishing thing. And so we started doing, fly fishing for trout. And we started going into some really, really pretty natural streams in Maryland, up at the upper northern end of Maryland. They have a couple of natural brown trout streams and stuff. And then for some ungodly reason, like I couldn't be the kid who could sit down on a Saturday mornings and watch cartoons. I started watching Bill Dance, Roland Martin.
Yeah.
I was really getting into this competitive bass fishing. And then all of a sudden it's like near the end of our sort of like spiel of fishing together, it was like at that moment I was like, I want to try this like bass fishing thing, and so I got a bait caster. We were renting john boats from like local places and going out and fishing for largemouth, and then eventually catching smallmouth, and then all of a sudden it's like I kind of moved away from saltwater, which is weird because I could tell you anybody out there right now knows a striper fights 10 times harder than a largemouth bass, but
Yeah.
I enjoyed the concept of seeing it, like being able to piece together a puzzle on a type of bait to use, where I'm fishing, what the bait fish are in that particular body of water, what the fish are doing, where they should be located in that lake at that time of the year versus the spawn versus the fall feed, whatever. And I love that whole idea of piecing get together that puzzle. And it was sort of like a game. And then eventually I really got into bass fishing. And then so yeah, and just a whole number
How
of bunch
old
of
were you
things.
when you made the switch?
Man, I was probably about 16 when I
Okay.
finally started, because I'm at that point I think I was really diving into this competitiveness in me.
Mm,
And with the whole idea of being competitive against yourself, being able to pull in the heaviest bag of bass that you can within a certain amount of time or whatever. Like I like that. And so
yeah.
that was about the time that I really got into it and started thinking, man, I could be a tournament fisherman one day. Who knows?
Did you have in high school, did they have bass teams, fishing
Uh,
teams then?
you know, I'll be honest. Like we were lucky to have a football team where we were, growing up. Man, we didn't have a lot of the intricacy,
I tell you,
things like
kids these
Tennessee.
days,
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh.
kids these days are so lucky.
Oh yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I would have loved to have that. I don't know why people didn't start it sooner. I
I
don't know why
agree.
I didn't think about it.
Yeah. Right.
Truthfully, I
Well,
just don't
I
understand.
I think a part of it was like people had to understand that fishing really isn't about luck. It really isn't. Like, of course, maybe there's a small little bit of that,
Yeah.
small little opportunity where God, blesses with you an opportunity to catch a big fish. But in the end, it really is chalks up to you putting the work in, being able to figure out where these fish are at that time of the year, and picking the right baits, right color, all that stuff. And so people started understanding, like, hey, this is technically a sport, so why don't we make it a thing for high
Yeah.
school and college? So yeah, very jealous, very envious of the generation today.
Yeah. And you're right. I had this same discussion the other day with a client on my boat on a charter. And he said, "You just picked up a rod and caught a fish." And I said, "Yeah, because I've been fishing the same thing in the same zone." I'm like, "I know." And I got down
Hmm.
because I want to show you how to do it.
Hmm.
This is a skill. This is a technique. There is a reason why you're not getting the bites because of how you're using that lure.
No,
Let me show you.
absolutely,
And I
absolutely.
showed him, and he's like, "Holy crap, you just caught a fish, like on the first cast." I'm like, "Because I know they're here, and I know what they want, I know how
Yep.
they want it, and I'm trying to explain it to you. So now the words weren't happening, so I'm gonna get down from my pulling platform, and we're gonna educate. We're gonna have a focused time for a few minutes. I'm gonna show you the exact technique, and next thing you know, he's catching fish."
That's awesome.
So very, very, you got it, dude. It is a
Yep.
skill that has to be practiced, that has to be refined, that has to be, you have to focus on it.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Yep.
and then I have friends though. I have friends no matter what. I mean, they could just blindly pick something out of a tackle box, tie it on, and throw it out, and they're going to catch a giant. I'm
Yep.
like,
Yep. They're
how the heck did
Yep.
you do that, man?
I fish against a couple of those guys. Yeah, for sure. I know it ticks you off sometimes.
Like, what in the
They
world, dude?
put a French fry on and catch a giant. Like okay.
Exactly. So no, man, and some people are in the superstitions and say no banana. I got friends who say no bananas on the boat. I've got some friends that won't even wear Fruit of the Loom underwear because there's a banana on the design. I don't care about any of that. I've had
Uh,
people catching fish while eating bananas, but truthfully, I think you are absolutely right. You hit the nail on the head. There's a lot of skill and a lot of effort and a lot of thought process. And it is a puzzle. That's one of my favorite things about guiding inshore and getting skinny and you said the word being technical, okay, is you are stalking, you are pursuing, you are looking. It is a two-man team, one on the front, one on the back. I'm pushing the boat quietly. I'm looking, I'm focused. My mom gets concerned because I get a lot of headaches because I'm like, Mom, you don't get it. Like when I
Yeah.
have those days with those particular anglers, I'm staring for hours at a in
Mhm.
specific zone, and I don't blink because I don't want to miss the opportunity to find the fish. And then you see the fish, and then you talk through that fish to your angler. You're like, bro, 10 o'clock, like
Oh, yeah.
60 feet. He's pushing real gentle. He's really happy. You see him, point your rod, point your rod. Okay, okay, you got it. You see the fish. Now I need you to really focus on before you make that cast. I need you to really know where that fish is. And now, okay, you got it? Perfect. Now you make that presentation and you
Yeah.
see that fish respond and react. And bro, you catch the fish. That's it.
Ah,
That style of fishing is so cool to me. Hey, we
ah,
got more to talk
yep.
about. I've got Adam Milstead, the prototype, with me today. We're talking fishing from a kayak. We got more to talk about. So don't go anywhere. This is Captain Jonathan Moss with the Captain's Log Radio right here on the Outdoor Radio Network.
This is the Captain's Log Radio with your host, Captain Jonathan Moss. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Captain's Log Radio with your host, Captain Jonathan Moss.
Hey, welcome back to the Captain's Log Radio. I'm Captain Jonathan Moss. I got Adam, the prototype Milstead, with me from Straight Yat. Is that how you say it? Straight Yat?
Yeah. Yep.
Dude is a living legend on the kayak tournament bass scene. Bro, before we continue the fishing, we've got to bring up the MMA. Now, little story. We were at ICAST, and I'm glad I got to watch this firsthand, right? At the Danco booth, they had a punching station. So it's one of those machines where you punch it and it tells you how hard you hit it. And the reason they did this, and I thought it was marketing genius, right, on their part, they just came out with their new fused carbon premium pliers made in America. They came out number 2 on our top 10 most innovative. Um, I had a brain fart. It came out as number 2 on our top 10 most innovative products from ICAST 2025. And so they're trying to showcase, hey, this thing is so strong. How strong are you? You're not strong enough to break these pliers. Are you strong enough to get a good number on the punching bag? So, anyways, there's a group of dudes, and I'm not gonna lie, like they kind of were selfishly like going at one after the other, like just staying within themselves. Other people were wanting to go, and Adam was just like, "Hey, bro, hold my hat, hold my badge. Here's my keys. Here's my phone." And he goes over there and he like pulls up his shirt a little bit and just steps in. He's like, "Yo, I'm gonna go." And they're like, "Oh, okay." Like, who's this dude? What's he gonna do? And I don't know if you know, but your face changed. Like you walked up to it. Right now, you're smiling. You
Uh,
walked up to it smiling, and then immediately your game face turned on. And I was like, oh, this dude just got immediately ticked off at this punch bag.
a
Because
lot
your
of
face,
aggression.
I'm not, I'm not kidding, bro. It just changed. And you look back, and then you came out and smacked that thing, and the machine broke. Like you straight up broke it. And everyone was like, what? And so again, we're like, okay, well, let's reset it and let's do it again. Okay, so it reset, and you came back and you broke it a second time. You're like, okay, I'm done. I'm done. The machine is like saying, no more. I'm throwing in the towel. Here's my white flag. It was freaking awesome. And then I
Uh,
realized right then and there, I'm never gonna make you mad because if you punch me, it hurt. So
oh,
how did
that's
you
great.
get into MMA and all that?
Yeah, man. MMA was sort of like, the way I always tell people is MMA was my backup plan. The whole point of me and my whole childhood was, I wasn't putting my eggs all in the academic basket, so to speak. So I was like really trying hard with football and wrestling and things like that. And so, for my size, I was pretty decently sized. And so I thought maybe I might have an opportunity in football. And so, long story short, I eventually made my way up into the Pennsylvania area and started playing just at a small D3 school. You know, had some things happen with a D2 school in the area as well. And so I just wanted to be a big fish in a little pond for the first year. Well, bad things happened. I ended up tearing my ACL on a football field. That was about the third game in, and so at that particular moment, the coaches kind of like, stop worrying about me. They were taking care of a lot of these delinquent fees to pay the school, like actual money. Like I at that time, unfortunately, my father had passed away, and I was about
Mm.
19 or 20, and so I didn't really have any money and didn't have anything. And I was just hoping that these guys would hold off like the collection agencies for the school. And eventually it got too much. And once I tore my ACL, they stopped kind of helping me out, and I was kind of kicked out on the street. So
Oh,
eventually, I had a rough patch there where I was starving and looking for work, and that was, of course, 2008 during one of the worst housing crisis slash trying to find a job. Like, it was miserable. And so one day, I was in my rundown apartment, and I saw an ad on the back of a penny saver that try mixed martial arts 30-day free trial. And at that particular moment, I've been a big fan of like UFC. Like, I watch these guys out there, they're doing the same thing that I used to do, which was wrestling. I was a huge wrestler, but I knew that there wasn't much for a wrestler beyond college. So I was like, well, I could really use that and possibly, maybe go pro, start making some money, all that stuff. I was like, let me give it a shot. And so I called the coach up. He gives me a call back. He's like, man, he's like, I want you in. He's like, with your wrestling background, I think we could really, build you up. And so really, I'd never been in a fight in my entire life. Like, most times people would come up and talk to me, or like if they had a problem with me, like it was like either I just like, okay, I don't really want to deal with you, or it was just my size. Nobody really said anything. So I never was in a fight my entire life. And so my first time ever like getting punched in the face was literally sparring. And then I soon started realizing it's really not that bad to get punched in the face. A lot of people, there's so many people in the world, like they ought to get punched in the face just to know what it's like. It really isn't that bad. But anyways, long story short, man, it was 2 months in, and then my coach looked at me, he says, I think you're ready. I was like, 2 months of training. He's like, yeah. So we get in a fight. I go out there, fight, just amateur stuff, and I win. And man, it was like one of the best feelings in the world. I did something that I never even thought in my life that I would ever be a part of. And at that moment, man, I was like, let's see how far I can go. And I just kept
mm.
working and working and working. And eventually go to pros. I started fighting local professional fights. I think my first fight was like for $300. I fought in a bar. That was my professional debut. And then after that, it was like, man, I kept pushing and kept pushing and keep trying. And then eventually my shot came, and I got an opportunity to fight for the UFC. And so, yeah, it's sort of like, I don't know, my claim to fame, but at the same time, it was a really awesome opportunity. And like you talking about like me and my face changing, and like when I got to that bag, like even that little stint right there makes me want to jump back in the cage so much, man. It's just
Mm.
like it was such a part of who I was as a
Mm.
human being. Like, I was so instinctively competitive, but at the same time, like, dude, this is such an oddity of sports. Like, getting in a cage and literally fighting somebody you have nothing against. Like, I
Yeah.
don't have anything bad against you, dude, but I'm apparently supposed to knock you out. So I got to figure out how to get angry. And you build that sort of characteristic and that sort of talent, and being able to really just like shut off the nice Adam and bring out the mean Adam. And yeah, it was just one of those things, man. I really enjoyed. It was
Mm.
a huge part of my life. So yeah.
That right there, that was my biggest struggle playing football
Mm,
is in practice. You know, you're supposed to run your practice like you would run a real game,
Yeah,
but
right.
you're practicing with your friends.
Yeah.
I don't want to hit you. I don't want to tackle you. I don't want to push you
Mhm.
like I'm going to push. It's a different mindset when it's game day.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
You show up to the game, you show up to the field, and those people, I don't know them, but right now they're my enemy, and I'm going to push them on the ground as hard as I can.
Yeah.
Coach would say, "You level that kid, you put him on the ground, and then you help him
Yeah.
up and tell him Jesus loves him." That
Yeah.
was
That's
the
awesome.
mindset. I'm
Yeah.
going to hurt you, and so that's hard to have that switch.
Yeah.
But for what you do now, I think that first career that gave you such drive and focus. You have to be quick on your feet. You have
Yeah.
to have clarity. You have to be strong in your head.
Hmm.
When you are in the middle of fishing a tournament and you need 5 fish and you're 2 fish in and you're 20 minutes away from weigh in and you're like, I gotta get 3 fish and I gotta
Yep.
get back to the dock. You have to have that ability in your head to just keep pushing.
Oh yeah. No, I'm
That is
glad you
very hard.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that. I mean, it was one of the hardest things for fishermen these days is being adaptable. And the only way that you can be adaptable is you literally have to put yourself in tough situations. You have to put yourself in a situation where, like, if we're talking fishing wise, getting out to a very high pressured lake, super high sunny skies, really difficult to be able to get these fish to hit. And man, you got to be able to make the changes to be able to put the fish in a boat. And so, just like you said, man, just that drive and being able to get the job done. That's what I wanted to do. So
It's the same thing guiding.
yeah. Oh yeah, I can
Um,
see it. Well, I can
it's
see also like you talking about your guiding service, like how much passion you have watching literally your clients being able to catch a fish, like the amount of work and attention to detail that you put them in. I could
I
tell.
I promise you, when it comes to hiring a guide, no one on that boat wants you, the angler, to catch a fish more than the guy on the back of the boat. Okay?
Yeah,
For a few reasons. Number one, you're paying to be there. Okay.
right.
So I need you to catch fish because you're paying to be
Hmm.
there. Okay. And every day things change. My Instagram post last week, I was talking about how when you go fishing, patterns change,
Yeah.
and you
Yep.
can be on a killer pattern. You've got it dialed in, and then all of a sudden, right now, we've got some kind of tropical system out in the Atlantic, okay, off our coast, and that's going to change how the fish respond.
Mm.
All right. We're getting a ton of rain going on, which is helping cool things down, but it's also putting in a lot of brown algae in our estuary. That's going to change. These are the elements that you have to deal with every day. Plus, you're entertaining people. Okay. I
Right.
want to entertain you. I want to talk to you. I
Exactly.
want to get to know you. I feel like I go on a first date every day because I'm getting to know somebody. I
Yeah.
say the same dad jokes over and over again. I'm really good at the same like 5 dad jokes. I've said them 1,000 times. But it's that you have to push every single day because they're fish, they're wild creatures, and they're you never know what's going to happen. Hey, these
Absolutely.
these segments are flying by. I've got Adam the prototype Milstead with me. Don't go anywhere. I'm Captain Jonathan Moss. This is the Captain's Log Radio right here on the Outdoor Radio Network.
This is the Captain's Log Radio with your host, Captain Jonathan Moss. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Captain's Log Radio with your host, Captain Jonathan Moss.
Hey, welcome back to the Captain's Log Radio. I'm Captain Jonathan Moss. I have Adam Milstead with me. And Adam, I want to dive deeper into fishing. You are doing kayak bass fishing tournaments. This
Mhm.
past weekend, you were in a tournament and you got third place, dude.
Yeah,
Congratulations.
I appreciate it.
That's
Thank you.
awesome. Was this a lake that you had fished before? Did you have any experience there?
Yeah, so I've had quite a bit of experience. Honestly, so actually this was it was a river system, and I love rivers, man. If they got smallmouth in it, it's just one of those species of bass that I feel are just a bit more predictable than largemouth. Largemouth, I think, are a little bit more, you know, scatterbrained, to say the least. Like, they're just like, you might have some up under, cover or whatever, but then you'll have a ton out deep, whatever. But smallmouth, I feel like I've got it down pat to where they're going to be between a river system and a lake system. But
Was
yeah.
this a smallmouth focused tournament?
Yeah, this is all
Okay, okay.
smallmouth. Yep, and I believe, honestly, one person caught a random largemouth, and it had to been like a really, like, just a slow moving pool or something. But
Huh.
yeah, yep. So yeah, this
But what was your keys to success? You're talking about you've got it figured out for rivers. What are
yep.
you figuring out? And don't share too much. Don't spill the
Oh
beans too
no,
much, but give us
hey,
some insight.
You know, the thing is, I don't care about, like, I'll give away so you can watch my YouTube. You can literally see me where I'm launching, what I'm using, and if somebody's a local there, they'll know exactly where I caught that fish. They'll know
Yeah.
exactly what I'm using and stuff. I don't really care that, because it's all about a competitive mindset. So when I got to the water, like, the biggest thing that when you ever get to the water, the first thing I look at is clarity. I want to look at the clarity of the water. I want to see, okay, is this going to, especially for bass fishing, am I going to need something loud, obnoxious type of baits, something real shiny, bright, or whatever? Or am I going to need baits that are going to be smaller profile, natural, sort of specific lures to be able to catch these fish? And what I noticed is the water was really high. Now, my whole preference that day was literally just getting to the water. And there was a lot of guys who were putting on floats where they would float up to, 8, 9 miles of that stretch of river. They would have a buddy where, kayak fishing, you kind of have to, if you're planning on doing a float, have to have a float partner, which means you have somebody at the end of your takeout to be able to drive you back to your car or truck or whatever.
Mm.
And so there were a ton of people that were going to be able to cover water. For me personally, what I wanted to do was pick a section of the river and literally take that and dissect it down. So the problem with a lot of people, and a lot of people who are bass fishing, is that if they're looking at, like, I just recently fished Lake Champlain, which is one of the biggest lakes I've ever fished. I think it has over, it's nearly, 3 hours, to traveling from north to south of this lake. And so if you look at the lake literally from a map, Google Earth, it just seems like I don't even know where to begin. It's like, don't do that. Take a spot of that lake, cut it down into quarter sections, and dial in that 1/4 section and focus on that. And that's the whole point of what I did last weekend, was take a part of that river, dial it in, focus on key points of that river where I believe that the bass are going to be, and then obviously utilize the baits to be able to catch them. And so for me, knowing that it was high water, I'm going to be wade fishing. I'm going to be sort of picking this apart. I'm going to go up the river. So I'm not necessarily in a position where I'm going to scare the fish as I'm going down the river. In a river system, smallmouth are going to face, just like trout, are going to face head first into the current. So what you want to do is come up from behind. And so you got to stalk them a bit and stuff like that. A lot of like what you probably do on the flats for redfish, being able to stalk them and getting up. And I knew that from the high water, I'm going to need a loud, obnoxious style bait, something that they're going to be real reactive to, which was a type of spinner bait. It's called the Dreamsicle. It was just this real goldish style bait. And that was what was on for pretty much the whole day. And that's all I did is I stocked these fish. I would go up to the next hole. I would look at a very specific key points, such as like just a random log that had floated down from high water and just kind of set up in the middle and made this little eddy right then and there. I knew that particular point, it's got to have a bass on it. And as long as you stock it correctly, you cast in the right direction, and you pull it by to where those fish they don't have a lot of time to look at it. It's just a quick reaction. They're going to hit it. And that's basically what I did. So it was a lot of stocking and really sort of finesse style fishing, so to speak, with a reactive bait.
Establish a pattern and replicate it.
Yeah.
Establish a pattern, replicate it.
Yeah. No,
you didn't have to power fish 9-mile stretch of river.
Exactly.
You focused in on one zone. You
Mhm.
found the pattern and you replicated it.
Exactly.
And you got to the next point. You're like, oh, that looks just like it did over there.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that. That's 100% the key point. Like, especially if you don't get an opportunity to pre-fish for competition, which is basically you go out the day before or maybe a week before, and you go out and you try to establish your pattern that way. What you can do in a tournament, if you don't have the opportunity to pre-fish, maybe so many of us like work for a living. Obviously, we don't have time to take off of work and go out there and pre-fish. So when you get out there, it's like as soon as you catch a fish, and if it's a good fish, if it's a breeder, if it's a female, whatever, what you ought to do is once you've gone and measured that fish and you've submitted it and you got it in your live well, whatever, look at the area exactly where you just caught that. Pick your key points out on what was it? Was it close to the bank? Was it out in the middle? Was it behind an eddy? Was it behind a rock? Were there rapids before or after? There's so many different things to look at. But once you get those key points, like you said, replicate it. And so all I did was I just went up and I looked for the same key points. And once I found it, I really focused hard. And that was actually one of the reasons why I was able to get one of the bigger bass in the tournament that day, which is, for a small river system like that, it was roughly about a 3.5, maybe a 4-pounder. It was 1875 smallmouth. But, because I was able to look at that, replicate it, I was able to catch that fish. And so that's such an important adaptation feature of experienced fishermen to people who are just getting into it. It's not always about like being able to find the right baits. It's being able to find the right location. And like you said, replicate that location. Most of those bass are just looking for something to eat. Doesn't matter what you're throwing.
And a big part of that is slowing down, paying attention.
Well, that's
don't be in a hurry.
Yeah, right. Don't be in a hurry. The difference between kayak fishing and boat fishing. This is one of the things whenever I get to the radio show that I'm really going to implement and try to put on a lot of the listeners is basically why kayak fishing is awesome, and that I think a lot of boat fishermen, even the highest level guys who are getting $100,000 to go out and fish these tournaments, why I believe they can improve on is when you take away that big old 150, 250 Merc on the back of their boat, they have to take that area that they decided to fish in and really break it down. There are times I'll get to a particular spot where I'm like, man, this doesn't look good. I was like, I kind of screwed up picking this spot, but I really got to just like, hey, live in the bed that I made, so to speak. And
that's why I have a boat with a motor, buddy.
Well, yeah,
man,
right.
This spot don't look good. I'm getting out of here.
Trust me. As kayak fishermen, we would love to have a motor to be able to do that, but we don't. And so what it's caused us to do is being able to literally take a big section and sink it down into this like really detailed oriented piece and be like, look, if this is where I'm going to fish today and I've launched here, guess what? I'm going to make the best out of this situation. And I'm really going to focus hard on picking every little detail apart. And you know what? A lot of the times, I mean, specifically for me, like a lot of those times, man, I catch just as much, if not more than a boat bass fisherman being able to come in and fish a tournament. I could probably equal out to the same weight that they have. It's whatever it is that you want. If you want to be the type of guy who wants to travel and move and go to different places because fish aren't biting, that's fine. But I guarantee you, if there's a body of water, it's got bass in it. There are bass everywhere, and at some point in the day on that particular body of water, those bass are going to turn on, and there are going to be big fish there. You just got to stick with it, and you got to trust your gut, and you got to focus on those small little details. Once you do that, man, hey, anywhere you can find giant fish.
And you know what you do at the end of that? You
What's that?
write it all down in your captain's log.
Oh, there you
So
go.
later on, you
Yep.
can go back and you can, okay, listen, here's the situation. Here are the conditions I have for tomorrow for this tournament. I fished a similar body of water in a different state or a different region or a different zone, but it looks very similar. This is what I use. These are the conditions. Oh my goodness. Now you can
Yes,
replicate that same
exactly.
pattern somewhere else because you took the time to write it down and think
Right.
through it. My dad says that the worst ink is still better than the best memory. Right?
Good point. Yeah. Hey, you know what the best ink is? These guys right here, these little GoPro style
Yeah.
cameras. Man, if you guys are out there, film all your stuff. It's great for obviously social media, but when I'm looking for something, I could go back 3-4 years ago and find, hey, look, I'm gonna be fishing a pretty, nasty northeastern weather system, whatever, low pressure system. This is what happened then, and I can see exactly how I was fishing.
Exactly. And the
Yeah.
last thing we're going to do, because this segment's quickly coming to a close, using the FishBrain app. I've got the FishBrain app. I'm able to do the same exact thing digitally. So I
That's
write it down in my computer and on a notebook. I can print it all out so I have it. But you can also do that in the FishBrain app digitally. And some people don't like the FishBrain app because they're afraid you have to share everything. You don't. You keep everything private. Another little companion for you when you're fishing. Hey, Adam, it's been so good having you here on the show. I've learned a ton from you. I look forward to doing this again. And I'm excited for the launch of your show right here on the Outdoor Radio Network. Hey, I'm Captain Jonathan Moss. This is the Captain's Log Radio. Adam, thank you so much.
Thank you.
See you guys next time.
Thanks for listening to the Captain's Log Radio with your host, Captain Jonathan Moss.